Good morning, everybody, and you're very welcome to this, the first in MyMind's Spring series of COVID-19 health and wellbeing support seminars. And it's lovely to see so many of you here this morning, albeit virtually. And in fact, I can't see you, but I can see the numbers of people attending. And it is obviously a testament to the number of people who are interested in mindfulness and meditation as part of their daily practice. My name is Gráinne O'Rourke and I am Head of Communications with MyMind, and it's a real privilege to be involved in this webinar series. We intend to run 4 webinars in total during this series, and the plan is to run one every 2 weeks across an 8-week period. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to our MyMind therapist this morning, Szilvia Lovas. And Szilvia is going to talk to us about the practical tips and so forth in relation to meditation and mindfulness. Good morning, Szilvia.
Good morning, Gráinne, and thank you very much. And good morning, everyone who is here with us this morning. So, my name is Szilvia, and I have been working as a psychotherapist for MyMind for about 3 years now. And as Gráinne mentioned earlier, I'm going to cover mindfulness and meditation this morning. And I also will show you some techniques, some tips that you can actually learn to build into your daily routine. There has been a lot out there and a lot of talk about meditation and mindfulness. And, you know, we might think that this is something mysterious or something magical that we are not probably able to do. But actually, we are all able to do that. And we are all doing that anyway in certain ways. So practicing it actually can provide practical results as we try to manage our stresses and anxiety, especially nowadays during COVID-19. So you can learn some new information, or maybe you can reinforce the information or the knowledge that you have learned before. So I think it's always helpful to reinforce anyway. So let's get started now. The main discussion points we are going through this morning are what meditation and mindfulness is and what the difference is between the two things. Then there are a lot of science which proves that meditation and mindfulness can reduce the level of stress in the body. So therefore, I think it's really important to understand a little bit about the autonomic nervous system and how it works and what's the role of the autonomic nervous system in our stress response. Then I will talk about a few benefits of meditation and mindfulness. And we will see then a few types of meditations. There are a lot of different types out there, but I will present you only a few of them. And then I will show you some tips, some little simple techniques that you could bring in your daily mindfulness. And to close the presentation, I'm going to invite you for a short grounding exercise. And at the end, you are welcome to ask any questions that you may have in relation to the topic. So, what is mindfulness and meditation? So first of all, I'm going to talk about a little bit about the background of both. So both tools have the same purpose, which is to bring our awareness back to the present moment and back to our body. They are both rooted in various traditions, including Buddhism and Hinduism. So they have been here for quite a while. They are ancient practices, and they have been adapted to our modern life. Meditation was popularized in the US in the 1960s by a number of spiritual leaders. But the biggest influence on bringing mindfulness from the East to the West was Jon Kabat-Zinn, who developed his mindfulness-based stress reduction program. And his practice has really shown how mindfulness can be used to help reduce stress and pain. And so now let's see what could be the differences between meditation and mindfulness. Through meditation, we can access a place of stillness, an inner calm within us, and it tends to have an intentional inward focus. And I think that this point is probably the most important point in terms of the difference. So we call meditation as a formal practice, which means that you need to set aside a specific time during the day and a quiet space. During meditation, you could access deeper levels of consciousness, a so-called meditative state. Yeah, and so there's a lot of myths around that, oh, it's too difficult, I'm not sure I'm able to do that, and what posture is the best to do that. But actually, any position is perfect. It's really it's up to you to see what position you feel the most comfortable in your body. So you could do it sitting, you can be sitting, you can be laying down, or you can even be walking. Now, here is a lovely quote from Deepak Chopra about what meditation is. And he says that meditation is not a way of making our mind quiet. It is a way of entering into the quiet that is already there. So I suppose here one of the key points is to note about meditation is that when you practice meditation, it's not something new. It is about accessing our stillness we all have deep inside. So meditation is really a lovely way to connect with ourselves. Yeah, and now let's talk about mindfulness. So mindfulness is really a human ability that we are all able to do, and we are all doing that actually, just sometimes we are not aware of doing that. So what is it? It's really about bringing our awareness back to the present moment, and it's about tuning into our 5 senses in the here and now. So the 5 senses are our sight, hearing, touch, smell, and taste. And mindfulness, as opposed to meditation, tends to have an external focus. So that's the important point here, that when we are being mindful, it's, we tend to focus on what is going on in our environment, or we are trying to focus on what we are doing in the moment. And, mindfulness is something that you could do anytime, even now, during this presentation. You could do it anywhere, with anyone. It's really about being fully engaged with whatever you are doing throughout your day. And for mindfulness, you don't need to set a particular amount of time. So it's handy because it's always there. You can always access it. We can always do it. Okay. Yeah, so the autonomic nervous system. What is it? So the autonomic nervous system is part of the peripheral nervous system, and its functions are mainly involuntary and are controlled by the emotional brain. So the main functions are regulation of our blood pressure, digestion, heart rate, body temperature, circulation, and immunity to some extent. And now you will see a picture about the 2 main divisions of the autonomic nervous system, which are called parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. So on the right side of the picture, you can see a summary of responses of the sympathetic nervous system, also known as fight or flight response, which are, for example, as you can see, palpitations in our chest, or adrenaline rush, or we could feel knot in our stomach, for example, when we are at that level of stress. And actually, this response is activated in emergency or stressful situation, and it has been designed to protect us from a perceived threat. From a perceived threat. So it is a very important function, and without this function, we wouldn't be able to stay alive. So we need this function. So in short term, as I told you, it's this response can be life-saving, which is life-saving. However, if we are in that same level of anxiety for long term, it can be health damaging. Let's see now the parasympathetic nervous system, which, the parasympathetic nervous system is kind of balancing out the sympathetic responses. So it's responsible for functions connected with rest and repair of the body, or the rest and digest activities. There are many ways to activate the relaxation response in our body, and meditation and mindfulness are two really important tools that could help our parasympathetic nervous system to get activated. So regular meditation can reverse the effects of the fight or flight response and allows our body to relieve stress. And here on the picture on the left-hand side, you can see some responses of the parasympathetic nervous system. So when we calm down, when our system calms down, our heart rate and our breathing becoming slower, and our blood pressure normalizes, for example, just to mention a few. Okay, so moving on to the benefits of mindfulness and meditation. A large body of research have proved that having a regular meditation and mindfulness practice can positively impact our mental and physical health. And here you can see some of the beneficial components of meditation. When we are meditating, the level of cortisol, which is our stress hormone, it drops. So it means that our heartbeat and breathing slows down. And it may also allow us to slow down our analytical thinking. By having a calmer mind, we will be able to focus more, to concentrate more on our daily tasks. Having a regular practice, can increase the natural melatonin levels in our body, and it helps us greatly to have a better quality of sleep, which we all know is so important so that our body could recharge and heal. It's really important to have a good quality of sleeping. It can also boost our immune system so that the immune system could fight against viruses. It's so important to have a strong immune system, especially these days when we are fighting against the virus. So it's really important anyway, but especially nowadays, it's really great if we have a strong immune system. By practicing these tools regularly, we can actually develop a greater sense of self-compassion, a greater sense of kindness. So we become kinder with ourselves. And as we become kinder and more compassionate within ourselves, it will manifest in our relationships. So as a result, we will become kinder and compassionate in our relationships. Okay, so now we are going to start talking about the different types and techniques of meditation. And as I mentioned there are tons of types and techniques out there. So the two main groups could be, so there are formal and informal practices. And I kind of talked about it to you at the beginning, that for example, meditation, it's kind of like a formal practice, which means that, we usually set aside like 10 minutes or 15 minutes a day for our daily practice. On the other hand, as an informal type of meditation, it's like when we are doing mindfulness, we don't need to set aside any particular time. We can just do it anytime throughout our day, when, for example, we are cooking or brushing our teeth or walking. The other big group is guided versus unguided meditations. So guided meditations could be useful for those who are new to meditation, because here an experienced guide or an experienced teacher is guiding you through the practice and help you to get the most out of your experience. And actually you can find a huge amount of guided meditations online, even on YouTube, in different topics that I'm going to talk about later on. Whereas unguided meditation, it simply involves sitting in silence and noticing our bodily sensations or feelings for a certain period of time. And I will talk about that as well a little bit more. So let's see what are the specific techniques or specific types. I would say some of the specific techniques, because there are really a lot of ways of doing meditation. So the first one is body scan. I think this is the most common way of doing meditation. Basically, this exercise helps you to be aware of your bodily sensations. It is really important because sometimes our body is doing one thing and our mind is doing something different, and the mind is elsewhere, which is absolutely normal, because this is the job of the mind to keep wandering here and there. But so when you are doing this type of a meditation, you do a full body scan from the top of your head all the way down to your toes. So it is something like, I feel my left foot, I feel my left toes, I feel my left knee, or I feel my left hips. So we are scanning through the body. We are going from, so we are scanning throughout the body, and this is how it works. This is something that if you like going to a yoga class, or if you're doing yoga class online nowadays, because we can't attend classes, this is actually how a yoga class starts. The teacher is always inviting you for a body scan, and then you start the practice. The next one is spiritual meditation. It is actually similar to prayer. Through this type of a meditation, you seek for a deeper connection with the higher power, depending on our individual belief system. So it could be God, it could be the universe, or it could be your higher self. The next one is practicing gratitude. This is actually one of my favorite practice. Practicing gratitude, it cannot only be done through meditation. You can practice gratitude in so many different ways. And I think that this technique is so important. It has been always important, but especially nowadays during COVID, during this pandemic, because there are so many layers of loss and grief that we are experiencing in a collective and in individual levels that we are dealing on a daily basis. It's, some people have lost their job. We all lost our physical connection with our loved ones. Some people lost friendship relationships. We lost, rituals, really important rituals and celebration from our lives, such as graduation or birthdays, etc. So it's really easy to focus on what we have lost and what we don't have anymore. But if we spend too much time on this place, it could be quite, depressing, and we could feel quite low. So I think it's really important to focus on what we have. And there are so many things that we are not even aware of having, and we take them for granted. They are like really simple things that if we think about our body, that our body is functioning, we are able to breathe, we are able to move. So there are really a lot of basic things that we probably can't think of. But if we start doing, if we start practicing gratitude, if we have one idea, all the others will be coming, and you will be surprised how many things and how many ideas, thoughts you will find that actually you feel grateful for. So how to do that actually? So there are meditations, like guided meditations, that you could use, but you could also have, for example, a gratitude journal. You can simply journal the things that you feel grateful for. Or You could do it, just on your own in the evening before you fall asleep, or in the morning after you wake up. You can just think a few things, like 5 things that you feel grateful for, like people you have in your life, things you have in your life. Okay, I think I talked a little bit too much about it because this is really my favorite. Okay, so the next thing is visualization. So when we focus of when the focus of a meditation is an image, the meditation becomes a visualization. And you may choose visualization to ground and heal yourself, or to reach a goal. So visualization is also something that you could do through a guided meditation, through unguided meditation, or you could simply just, create some space for yourself and think of something that you really like. So what can you think of when you do visualization? You can think of, something that you enjoy. For example, a smile of a loved one, a memorable holiday, a beautiful sunny beach, or a mountain, or really anything that gives you happiness. Yeah, and there, as I mentioned, there are also goal-oriented visualization. I personally often do this technique when I have a challenge. I'm facing an exam, for example, or I'm doing for an interview. I visualize myself in my meditation that I'm going to be calm, I'm going to be focused, and it is really helpful, to keep myself relaxed in a way, so that I'm able to focus and concentrate. But as I mentioned, this technique could be used as well for self-healing, visualizing well-being for you, visualizing your healthy body, or visualizing your healthy organs. And you can do it as a complementary remedy, even if you need to take medication. And the next one is noting. So what is noting? Sometimes, we don't realize how we are feeling. We just don't understand, why we react in a certain way in situation, why we are feeling so agitated or angry. And so noting involves becoming aware of our feelings and our thoughts. And actually, it helps us to become aware of our feelings and our thoughts related with this feeling. So once you realize your thoughts, you can then change them and your feelings will change with it. And it's also it's a great technique to become aware of our thinking thought patterns. And it also helps us with letting go when we need to let go something. Okay, so here we have our blue sky metaphor that I came across for the first time when I started to meditate with Headspace. And I really, really loved this metaphor. I really love this metaphor, to imagine a mind, as a bright blue sky where your thoughts and your feelings are the clouds that are coming and passing by. And the clouds are always changing, just like our thoughts, just like our feelings. Sometimes the sky is clear, or there are a few happy clouds on it. But other times when life gets challenging, when we are going through really tough times, then darker or even stormy clouds can arrive. And sometimes there is a point where we get really caught up with in the stormy dark clouds, and we often forget about the blue sky. The blue sky, which is the underlying stillness that is always there for us. So I think it's really nice to always remind ourselves of the blue sky, that inner peace we all have deep inside. Okay, now let's go through quickly some ingredients of the meditation. So what do we need? What are the elements that we need in order to meditate? So the first one, we need a quiet and safe environment. So it should be away from household devices or mobile phones. It could be your living room or a corner in your bedroom, for example. Then next one is timing. So you might need a timer that will sound at the end of your meditation. So you will not have to worry about checking the clock all the time. You are really able to switch off and relax. Yeah, many people like meditate in the morning, first thing in the morning. And I think personally for me, that this is how I started meditating first thing in the morning, because you are in the process of waking up, you are kind of in between. So you are not fully awake yet, but you are not sleeping. It's just you are in between. And I think this is a perfect place to be and to start with when you start your meditation practice. But some people prefer doing meditation in the evening before they fall asleep. Okay, next, as I said earlier, we need to feel comfortable in the position we are doing, and we need to feel comfortable in our clothes. It is very important. So you can either sit on a chair with your hands placed on your laps and palms facing up, or you can just lay down on a mat or on your bed, and you can do it even walking, as I said at the beginning, whatever it's comfortable for you. And you need a passive or an open attitude. I think probably both. It means that you allow yourself to experience whatever way you are at the moment, in the here and now, and let your thoughts come. Let your thoughts come and go, and receive them with openness without judging them. It's really important. But it's also, it's a process that as we are doing meditation, we will get used to this. Okay, so now let's see what are the, the simple techniques and tips that we could use to build into our daily practice. So there is something, I'm going to start talking about the breathing technique, because it's something that we always have, it's always handy. You can always turn to your breathing. So they are really simple techniques, but actually they are really very powerful tools in reducing stress. And you can use them anytime, anywhere, anytime, while you are driving, while you are walking in the street, really anytime. So throughout the day, just take a few moments and bring your attention to your breathing, just to observe it. And simply by doing this will help your body to calm down and feel grounded. So this is the simplest way that you could do. Just simply, bring your awareness onto your breathing. If you feel really stressed or very anxious, you can use, for example, the technique so-called 7-11, which means that you breathe in for the count of 7 and you breathe out for the count of 11. But there are many techniques like that. It's just one of them. So the main idea about these breathing is that your lengthen should always be longer. So your exhale should always be longer than your inhale. Then, yes, the deep abdominal breathing. Actually, this is one of the most efficient way to activate the parasympathetic response in our body. And so this is a really, really powerful technique to relax the fight or flight response that I talked about earlier. Because, most of us get into the habit of breathing only with our chest. That's what we are doing naturally. And when we are anxious, sometimes we can end up experiencing palpitations in our chest, which makes the whole experience even worse. So if you teach yourself how to bring your breathing into your belly, it's really an extraordinary skill to have. But how to do that? This might require a little bit of a practice, but it's not that difficult. So basically, what you do is you can, when you start it for the first time, I suggest that you can lay down on your back, but you can do it meanwhile sitting as well. So place one hand on your chest, the other one on your belly, And as you breathe in slowly through your nose, let the air deeply towards your belly. Your hand on your chest remains still, and your hand on your belly is rising. And you breathe. Sorry, just it. Let's not complicate. Yeah. So basically, that's it. That you bring your inhale down to your belly. The other way of practicing breathing techniques is placing stickers or blue dots in a lot of places where you can see them. It could be in your apartment. You can place them on your walls, on your furniture, or maybe in your purse, to a place where you can see them throughout your day. And each time when you look at them, you kind of reminding yourself to take a deep breath. If you are familiar with the deep abdominal breathing, just remind yourself to take a deep abdominal breathing. So it also helps you, to bring yourself back to the moment and to ground yourself. And these techniques really work within minutes, so they don't require a lot of time. Yeah. So mindfulness. Let's see what other little techniques we could do to remain in the present moment. Mindful cooking and eating. So when we are cooking or when we are chopping the onion, just bring our attention of what we are doing, like the texture of the onion, the smell of the onion, the action of cutting the onion. And when we are eating the same thing, you are using your senses. You observe the food, the shape of the food, the color, the texture. So you really are enjoying the moment. You know what you are doing. You can do walking, like it's simple, mindful walking. It's when you are outside. Take a moment to notice your posture, feel the air on your skin, and maybe feel the ground under your feet. Getting out in nature is really important. To practice daily mindfulness. Connecting with nature is absolutely healing. It helps us to be instantly present if you turn your attention to the beauty of it, noticing the flowers, the plants, the birds, or just simply looking at the sky and watching the clouds, and or watching the stars at night in summer. I can personally, when I go out into the nature, I notice that I can breathe better than when I'm inside. So I find it really powerful as a tool. Okay, so as I told you, you can practice mindfulness basically anytime. So for example, when you are standing in line or waiting on the phone, just take deep, nourishing breaths. Or you could also give yourself a neck or a shoulder massage. Yeah, or simply, I also use this technique, it's also kind of like a breathing technique, it is. So when you are feeling really stressed, like visualize breathing in peace, or if it's easier for you, you can even visualize like a healing light that you breathe in. And when you breathe out, just visualize the tension leaving your body, visualize the stress leaving you. So if I take like 3 deep breaths like that, for me it helps like instantly. Okay. And now we are passing on the 60 seconds exercises. So even the name of these exercises show that it really doesn't require too much throughout our days. So basically, what are they? So some of them are, for example, any of the breathing techniques that we have just seen, or for example, when you are taking a shower. And nowadays that we don't have to rush into the office, so probably we have a little bit more time to pamper ourselves. So this is something that we could do in the morning, to take the time when we, for example, we wash our hair, we massage, our scalp vigorously, and we film the water, the warm purifying water as it is flowing down on our skin. So we bring our attention and we bring in again our senses. The other thing we could do is repeating a mantra. So when we find that our mind wandering, which happens all the time, and it's absolutely normal, as I told you, because it's really part of our humanist. It's because we are human beings, and probably this method might work for people. It works for me. So it's basically it's repeating a mantra or repeating a sentence that you feel helpful. It could be repeating a word or a phrase that you find comforting and empowering. So it gives your brain something to focus on, and it can increase your sense of calm. The sentence could be like, I am safe, I am strong, I am letting go. Or you can also make up your own list, whichever you feel comforting. You can add different sentences or words to your list. The next is body tapping exercise. The concept of body tapping is derived from the practice of traditional Chinese medicine and based on the same principles used in acupuncture. So the aim of this exercise is to become fully present in your body. I sometimes use the body tapping, before an exam, before I have an interview, or before any challenge. I use it because I can really feel that it helps me to be present in my body. Yeah. And then shake it out. Next one, the shake it out. So I use it when I experience a stressful event, or I had a tough conversation with someone, or when I watch the news. Especially nowadays, it's one of my stressors. So when I feel like that, my stress level really goes up, and what I do, I simply just shake it out from my system. So I shake out all the negativity and all the stress that I don't need. And it's simply like, shaking your arms and legs without moving your body, but you could use, freestyle as well. And, I like doing this exercise in the summer when it's a bit more warmer and I can get out into the garden. And I think it's really good to do it with bare feet on the grass. But if you don't have a garden, you can go to a park, for example, on the grass, and you could be on bare feet and it is really healing. And if you do some shaking exercises, it's just add on the effects. Body stretching. So it's something really simple that you could do anytime. Yeah, anytime. So when you are on the phone, you could do body stretching, or when you are working long hours in front of your computers, just take a few seconds, do a lovely big body stretch, and you will feel the difference even after a few seconds. So now, finally, here are some popular mobile apps and websites that you could use for meditation. And so the point is that there is no one way to do mindfulness or to meditate. So please get creative and play around with it and try out a few types of exercises and see which one you like and what makes you feel comfortable or comforting. So it's really worthwhile to try out different things, to try out a few applications, or to go online. I think this website that is here, I checked it out. There are really lovely free meditations on it, and they also do body scan. So you could, if you haven't done body scan yet, you can try this out. And online, so if you want to join an online group because you would like to meditate in a group, there are many options out there online if you are looking for, if you look out. So guys, now to finish our presentation, if you are ready, I would like to invite you for a short breathing and grounding exercise. So just take a moment now to make yourself comfortable in any way you need, wherever you are right now. If you can, sit comfortably or lay down comfortably, depending on where you are. If you are sitting, rest your hands on your lap. And if it's comfortable for you, close your eyes gently. Now take 2 big breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. Let's take another big breath in and out through your mouth. Feel your body on the chair, your feet in your shoes or slippers. Feel the ground under your feet. Now relax your eyebrows, your jaws, relax your neck and shoulders, your chest and your abdomen, and relax your legs and your feet. Notice the sounds around you, the temperature of the room you are in. Observe your thoughts coming and going in your head. Are you in a planning mode or are you a bit tired? Is your mind preoccupied or are you feeling relaxed? Just allow the thoughts to be there and to pass by without judging them and without following them. Now bring your attention to your breathing. Without making any changes, simply bring your awareness to its natural rhythm. Perhaps notice the tempo and the depth of your breathing. Is it fast or is it slow, deep or shallow? Notice if you are feeling any tension in your body. Then take some big breath through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. And each time when you exhale, just let go of the tension. With each exhalation, you feel more and more relaxed. As you breathe in, feel your abdomen and chest expand and relax as you breathe out. Now, take a deep breath in for the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold it and exhale for the count of 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's take 2 more breaths like that. So breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do it one more time. Breathe in, hold, and breathe out. Now let your breathing come back to its natural rhythm and notice how you feel. Gently bring your awareness back to your body, back to the space around you. You can maybe start moving your feet, your fingers. Maybe you could do small circles with your wrists and ankles if it feels good. Or you can do a big body stretch. And when you are ready, you can open your eyes gently. So thank you so much for your attention this morning, and thank you so much for showing up. And thank for yourself as well for taking some time out to learn something that you could do for your well-being. And I'm going to pass back to Grania now. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask it now. Thank you so much.
Really sorry about that, everybody. I managed to leave my microphone off. Sorry about that. So we've a lot of questions, so I'm going to get through them very quickly. The first is from Dimitri, and Dimitri is wondering, how can you maintain the positivity within your thoughts at all times?
Oh, that's a very good question. Thank you, Dimitri. At all times, it doesn't, we as human beings and our mind by its nature is all the time wandering. So we spend so much time in the past, so much time in the future, which means that when we are in the past, we we go back to a place when we regret, why did I say that, why did I do that? Or when we are in the future, we tend to worry what's going to happen and when and what if. So that's what the mind is doing. So it's kind of like it's impossible, to be in a state of mind when we are constantly positive, because it's against of the human nature. So we can't actually we can't be in a space of when we feel always happy and positive. But with these techniques, we can create some moments for ourselves when we actually feel like we are living, we are absorbing life, and we feel joyful. So yeah, so it's absolutely normal not to feel positive like 24/7. It's
excellent. Thank you for that, Szilvia.
You're welcome.
Another question from somebody who has the moniker of rock star. So glad you could join us this morning. How can we use mindfulness for strong emotions such as anger, sadness, or frustration?
That is a really, really good question as well. Thank you so much for asking. So when we are experiencing intense feelings such as you said, anger, sadness, I think the best way to do, or the first step to do, is to provide some space to feel them. Because what we do in general, we try to suppress them and sweep aside. But actually that's worse, because it's going to get even huger. So the best thing is, if you are into journaling, for example, I think it's a great way. So whenever you feel intense feelings, just to sit down and journal around it, what you are feeling now. So I am feeling angry, and think about what has happened. Allow yourself some space to process your feelings. It's really important. And mindfulness and meditation as well, they don't suppress your feelings. The main idea is to allow your feelings to be present instead of suppressing them. So yeah, so one way of doing that is journaling, and I think talking to someone is brilliant, someone who can really listen. And therapy is about that. That's what we therapists are doing, listen. But if you have a really close friend, just having that space of being able to process and talk about it. So that's what came to my mind to this question.
Thanks very much indeed, Szilvia. Now, we've quite a lot of comments as well, all very complimentary and thanking us for the session. And Aoife is commenting that the DAB technique sounds really effective and she can't wait to try it. Another questioner, I don't have a name, is wondering, can you explain just a little bit more on body tapping exercise? So there's a couple of questions on that. So if you could, as quickly as you can, because I have a few more questions in that we need to cover. Thanks, Szilvia.
Okay, thank you for the so many questions. So body tapping, that's all I know about it. It really helps you to be present. You start tapping it from your head, and you are going down, and you are using the acupuncture, points that I mentioned. If you would like to have more information about that, you could go online, because there are so many materials about that. So it's the way I'm using it is to keep myself present. When, for example, now I'm doing a presentation, I used it before the presentation, and to feel that I am in my body now, I am in the present, I'm able to focus. So that's all I'm afraid I can say about that.
Thank you very much for that, Szilvia. So Sheena wants to know very quickly about the 60-second exercises that you mentioned. And is it possible even to use those with school children or teenagers?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can play around with them, exactly, with your children. Yeah, they can be used anytime. And another 60-minute exercise that I just heard about recently, it's called the 3 hugs three hugs breathing technique. So basically, when you are in the house and in the morning when you greet each other with your children, you could hug each other and take three big breaths. So it's also a technique that you could do, but definitely, yeah, you can play around these techniques with your children at any age.
Excellent. Thank you, Szilvia. An anonymous questioner is wondering, how can you apply this, I presume they mean the different techniques, to inmates in a prison? And have you any suggestions for that?
To inmates in a prison?
Yes.
If
so
when somebody
prisoners in prison. So I presume it's the same, is it?
It's absolutely the same. Yeah, exactly. Because these techniques actually don't require any equipment. So anything is special. Because, for example, your breathing is always handy. We always breathe, so it's always there. It's really about turning your attention. Bring your attention back to your breathing. So if you can start practicing with that, I think it's a really great way, to heal yourself, to help your healing process.
Excellent. Another questioner is wondering, could this work with substance misuse issues?
Substance misuse issues. That's a good question. Unfortunately, I don't have too much practice in it, but I can imagine that these techniques works for everyone in every conditions, because as long as we are breathing, for example, and as long as we are alive, we are breathing, it means that we could do it, in any conditions, really.
Yeah. Another questioner is wondering, some clients are not comfortable in their body or going to their body, yet they are anxious and would benefit from engaging their parasympathetic system. And what technique would you bring to therapy in that sort of situation?
Sorry, what was the beginning of the question?
So it's about some people are not comfortable around their bodies.
Okay. So actually, if they are not comfortable about bringing their attention inward, because I wanted to say the abdominal breathing technique that I mentioned, it's okay. Because sometimes, we can be in a state of mind that as you said, we just can't connect with our body. But we can do is, to use our senses, to ask the person to see around what the person sees in the room. If you touch the chair, what it's like touching the chair. What do you hear? What are the noises that are coming into the room? What is that? So if you bring in your senses instead of going into your body, I think it's really, really helpful to bring the stress level down.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So we've two final questions, Szilvia. Actually, both of them I could just put to you together because they're quite similar. So the first is, how can you stop yourself losing your focus when you're doing your meditation, particularly if you are a beginner? And I don't have a name for that. But then Christina is also wondering, she finds it difficult to get out of her head sometimes, and many of her clients feel the same, and that people who are more in the doing than in the being find it very hard to meditate. So busy people, I would say, and it gets frustrating because you feel you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
And she's wondering what could help. And then, sorry, now just one final question. So there's a couple of things there. Somebody was wondering about trying to be positive when the weather is awful, and that they find the weather affects their mood as well. So that's the weather. It's about losing your focus, and it's about, wondering if you're doing it wrong. So we'll lump those three together in the interest of time.
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic, exactly. So Okay, how to start? So yeah, so when we are doing meditation, it's absolutely normal, especially at the beginning. And sometimes I think for people who are into meditations, sometimes could be quite challenging to stay in the moment, especially if there is something going on in your life. You have a really difficult times that you are going through. So it is okay. And that's why I like these techniques, that they are not restricting us in any way. And therefore there is no right or wrong way of doing them. So when you are experiencing that during doing meditation, your mind is wandering here and there, it is absolutely fine. So what you could do is just to bring your attention back to the present moment. So every time you notice your mind is wandering, it's a great thing. And you simply bring your attention back to the moment as many times as needed. Concerning the weather, how we can, be positive. Yeah, the weather is something that is an external condition. So there is something that we have no control over. And I think it's also a huge thing to learn, especially nowadays during COVID-19, that whatever is going on outside, all the madness, we have no control over. So, and the weather is the same thing. So I think actually practicing mindfulness and meditation and nourishing ourselves, nourishing our relationships within ourselves, creating this inner joy, this inner peace, is really helpful, to learn how to not to get caught up with whatever is going on in the outside world that we have unfortunately no control over. The only thing we have control over, it's about our way of responding. It's probably, doing meditation and mindfulness, it's a way of controlling our well-being, of controlling our of being in control in our self-care. And it's really a huge, huge gift that we could do for ourselves, especially nowadays. Yeah.
Szilvia, thank you so much. I hope that has covered all the questions for our participants today, and quite a few of them stayed until the very end. I know we've run a little bit over, so apologies for that. So thank you again so much for taking the time out today to attend our first webinar. And just to remind you that there will be a recording of the webinar on our YouTube channel early next week, and you will get an email from Eventbrite which will contain the link to that as well. So again, we wish you all the best. Thank you so much for attending our event today, and take care and go safely and look after each other. Thank you.